Greetings to all of humanity. It's really a joy, it's a pleasure, it's an honor to be here as usual and being out in nature, bringing this message of emancipation to you, whereby I'm pointing you to look inwardly to discover your identity, to be your divinity. That's the reason why I want to speak to you concerning an interview with Abdullah. And we all know that Abdullah was the master teacher and mentor of Neville Goddard, and he taught Neville many things. As a matter of fact, Neville said that Abdullah taught him through Christianity. Now, Neville said that it was an honor to be interviewed by Abdullah, and everyone counted an honor to be interviewed by Abdullah. On all of this is to show you the magnitude of the wisdom of this black mystic from Ethiopia in a time of segregation, in a time of racial separation, in a time when people of his complexion was looked down upon. Here was this humble man, this wise man, and many, some were scientists, some were bankers. All these very important people make it necessary to have an interview with Abdullah, and as Neville would have said, they felt honored to be in the presence of Abdullah. And you can hear the song of Neville's voice when he speaks of how they will come to Abdullah for instructions, how they will come to Abdullah for guidance, whether in business, family, in all area of life. Abdullah could have pointed them to how to go about achieving their goals. Now, that is the kind of motive and the kind of drive that have me here today reaching out to you, because I believe deep within that Abdullah was not an intellectual. Abdullah, I believe, was speaking from experience, because each and every time I speak to you based on experience. I speak to you based on having experienced the promise in my life and come to understand that it's more important to come in to the promise and then use the wisdom to attract whatever you want in this life, or to use the law. And Abdullah taught Neville the law and the promise. But you see, when it comes to the promise, it is a mystery that can never be known intellectually. It must be experienced. And Abdullah knew that as long as Neville stayed on the right vibrational frequency, understanding everything is energy and vibration and frequency, that he will come into the promise and discover his true identity to be his divinity. So Neville was feeling real honored to be a student of Abdullah and to be interviewed by Abdullah. Now, there is nothing new under the sun. Also, we are living in the now. And Abdullah is here. Neville is here. History always repeats itself. But many fail to realize when history repeats itself, how the energy would be channeled. And so Abdullah, in his infinite wisdom, knew that someone would be able to follow his footstep, to walk in his path. And whenever you read in the Bible and you understand that the Bible addresses the human mind and must be interpreted psychologically, and that the Bible is not literal, neither is a secular history, then you will understand the story of Elijah and Elisha, where Elisha did a double portion of what Elijah would have done, showing you that he would have received the mantle because he would have seen the destination that Elijah took. And all of that is teaching you of states of mind. It's teaching you of consciousness. And all these states of mind or states of consciousness in the Bible, they are infinite states. And each and every person upon the face of this earth can fall into a state. And I'm saying that I'm very blessed and honored to be interviewed by Abdullah in this time, by having to get into that frequency of contacting Abdullah, of channeling Abdullah and that energy, which is bringing me to that same kind of mindset to understand that Abdullah didn't need to write books. He was the book. He was the expression of the book. And we see it today as the message of self-realization, as it expands, we see that more and more people are coming to realize the deception that came to them through the school system, where most were educated to become an employee and to have employee mentality. They were never taught to discover the true identity so that they would know the true divinity. And so we see that many are also coming to know that they were brainwashed through secular Christianity, where they were appointed to believe in a power outside of themselves and to look outwardly. But when we come to realize that imagination creates reality, we come to realize that those who come before Abdullah would have been given the key to create their reality consciously and to learn that it is their thoughts that is creating their reality and that they must create their reality consciously. Now, I have to always bring my message across in a certain kind of way because of the way we were brought up and the programming system that is taking place even now in my country and all around the Caribbean, where the children in school, they have to sing songs, Jesus songs, and they Christianize them at a very young age, brainwash them at a very young age, and rob them of their mental faculties. So they do not know what it means to really be persistent, because they do not know what it means to exercise their will, their memory, their perception, their intuition, their imagination. That's the reason why many religious people, you can't even reason with them because they have no sense of logic. And when you come to realize that each and every person that grew up in these parts and have to go through the school system and the programming that they're receiving through the school system, you'll understand why they refer to these parts as third world country, because what happens is that the people have a third world mentality. They have a colonial mentality. But we see an ancestor by the name of Abdullah, that many from different walks of life, they will have found it a pleasure and an honor to be interviewed by the black mystic from Ethiopia, which was Neville Goddard mentor. And today, we see the self-development industry has widened their wings because of this wise ancestor who knew true Christianity and who knew that the Bible addresses the human mind and must be interpreted psychologically, who knew that his people were in mental slavery, who knew that his people were still captive mentally. So here am I continuing that work of our ancestor, and I'm saying to you that it's an honor for me at this time to interview anyone who would seek this wisdom, because I didn't get this wisdom from a book. I didn't get this wisdom from regurgitating something that I would have heard. That's the reason why I can tell you. What I'm saying to you, it's not theory. It's my experience. It's what I have experienced. And I'm sharing my experience with you. Pointing you to look inwardly. And it's only when you look inwardly that you will be able to discover your identity to be your divinity. And you come to realize that it is your own thoughts that is creating your reality. Now, when you come to realize that it is your own thoughts that is creating your reality, and every action been stemmed from a thought, you would realize that it is your thinking that creates your personality. Then you would know how brainwashed it is for someone to believe in a devil, or believe in a hell, or believe that there's some entity outside of themselves who want to tempt them to do things that they don't want to do. But when a man comes to the place that he can realize that he must be responsible for his thoughts, for as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, then he would understand how important it was for anyone to have an interview with our ancestor Abdullah, the black mystic from Ethiopia. So with all of that being said, my brother, my sisters, I just want to encourage you, if what I'm saying to you, if it's resonating with you and you haven't subscribed to this channel already, I'm encouraging you to subscribe, to like, to comment, or to share. And I'm encouraging you to always remember that this message I bring to you is the single eye message of self-realization, of which Matthew 6:22 says, if your eye be single, your whole body will be full of light. And had it been, I would have awakened within myself like a fiery being, I would have heard the unearthly wind, and exit my skull and became invisible. I wouldn't have been here bringing the message of the invisible to you, pointing you to look inwardly to discover your identity to be your divinity. So that's the reason why I always give you the symbol of the single eye, and letting you know that this symbol is not an evil symbol as the religious ones would have you to believe. But this symbol of the single eye is a symbol of the God within you, which is your own human imagination, the creator in man. And when you have an awakened imagination, you will come to realize that it is the rising of the S-U-N in a S-O-N, and that it is the dawning of a new day in your life. For the sun parallels the human imagination parallels the sun. For without the sun, there is no life and there is no light. And without the human imagination, there isn't anything made that was made. Therefore, my encouragement to you is to use your mind power, which is your solar power, your sun power, your creative power, your God power, to achieve your every desire. So with that being said, I want to say peace, love you all, I'm out.